Welcome back to another explainer by Forge College. If you've been following along in our smart contract security track, we've been doing a ton of hands-on work. Well, today we are officially transitioning you from being this sort of artisan command line craftsman, carefully typing out single commands one by one, to a full-on efficiency engineer building an automated security factory. Today's explainer is all about integrating tools into security automation. Let's get into it.
Here is our game plan for today. We are going to cover 1. The automation advantage, 2. Drafting the script blueprint, 3. Running Slither and Mythril, 4. Aggregating the outputs, 5. Verifying your artifacts, and 6. Preparing for deep analysis.
Starting with Section 1, the automation advantage. Why exactly are we automating?
Okay, so we're moving past the manual command line usage from our last lesson into the highly structured world of orchestration. Because, let's face it, manually typing commands is literally like making coffee one single bean at a time. If you have ever spent 10 minutes just screaming at your terminal because a tool won't run, only to realize you missed a single dash in a flag, you know exactly what I mean. It is incredibly slow and wildly prone to human error. Scripting and automation, on the other hand, is like building a factory-grade espresso machine. You hit a button once, and you get a consistent, repeatable, machine-readable result every single time.
Moving on to Section 2, drafting the script blueprint. Let's design this script.
So, what actually goes into an engineering blueprint for our bash script? We know we want a mechanism that takes in a smart contract, like a standard Solidity file, and magically spits out a beautifully unified JSON report without us lifting a finger. But how do we actually build that from scratch?
Well, our factory operates in 4 really distinct steps. First up, we set our variables and generate a time-stamped output directory. Think of a format like year, month, day, followed by hour, minute, second. This is absolutely crucial because it completely isolates the artifacts of each specific run. Step 2, we run Slither and save its JSON output. Step 3, we do the exact same thing for Mythril. And finally, Step 4, we aggregate those JSON files alongside our run's metadata.
Which brings us to Section 3, running Slither and Mythril. Time to execute these tools.
Now we install the actual machinery right on the factory floor, natively within the script. And this perfectly illustrates how automation preserves our exact flag choices. Notice how we're capturing structured, machine-readable JSON outputs by explicitly using slither-json and myth-analyze-json-o. Oh, and that little string of characters at the end, /dev/null 2 and 1. For anyone new to bash scripting, that simply takes all the messy, noisy system logs and redirects them out of our clean terminal output, while still making sure we catch any real system errors in our dedicated log files.
Now, you might be wondering, why go through all the trouble of capturing exit codes and logging the exact tool versions? Well, think about what happens when a machine jams on the assembly line and silently fails while you're out grabbing lunch. Trust me, you do not want to ship an empty analysis box to a very confused audit team.
Proper logging makes those invisible errors instantly visible. Because our script explicitly catches exit codes, we can check our log files and immediately spot common debugging nightmares. For example, a pragma mismatch just means your target contract has a Solidity version that conflicts with the tool. Or maybe you'll spot a missing dependency from an uninstalled package, or an incompatible version issue when a sneaky little tool update unexpectedly breaks your whole script.
All right, Section 4, aggregating the outputs. Let's synthesize this data.
Because here's the reality. Having raw, disjointed data just isn't enough. We need to synthesize it to make it truly actionable. And aggregation isn't just lazily dumping files into a folder. It's combining multiple raw JSON outputs into one single reviewable artifact. Crucially, we have to combine our raw JSONs with our metadata. Things like the timestamp of the run, the specific tool versions, and the target file paths. By doing this, we make every single automated run perfectly auditable and 100% reproducible.
To accomplish this elegantly, we can use a super simple tool called JQ to act as our final conveyor belt. JQ is basically the ultimate Swiss Army knife for JSON files. It allows us to weave both of our tool outputs, right alongside our metadata, into one beautifully structured master aggregated JSON file. It just boxes everything up so your CI pipeline or your human reviewers have exactly one file to look at.
Next up, Section 5, verifying your artifacts. It is quality control time.
Before we go trusting this brand new automated factory we just built, we absolutely must run it through a strict quality control checklist. These 4 items are your baseline acceptance tests. 1. Does the timestamped output directory actually exist? 2. Are the raw JSON outputs cleanly saved inside of it? 3. Is that master aggregated JSON report present? And 4. Are the tool versions captured? This checklist ensures your script actually produced valid, usable JSON data rather than just quietly spitting out empty error files. If all 4 of these pass, your factory is officially open for business.
Finally, Section 6, Preparing for Deep Analysis. What are our next steps?
Okay, so we have our aggregated artifact perfectly boxed up and audited. What's next? Well, we enter the final stage of our pipeline. Because our data is standardized into one master artifact, we have built a rock-solid foundation for deep analysis. We can now easily apply rule-based filtering, we can build custom scripts to parse the JSON, and start efficiently tossing out those inevitable false positives before we even hand things over to our human triage teams.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. What kind of discrepancies do you think you're going to uncover when you compare Slither and Mythril's aggregated outputs side by side? I mean, one tool might flag a reentrancy vulnerability as supercritical, while the other tool might completely ignore it based on how its specific analytical engine works. Think deeply about those discrepancies as you prep for your next lesson in triage. And remember, to keep building out your Web3 security pipelines, head over to forge.college to dive deeper into this subject and explore all of our in-depth courses. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy automating.